We did it, you guys. We finished the book.
Whoa.
Oh, me? You think I look different? That's so weird. It might be because it's April 6th, which means your girl is a published author. Today, my debut poetry collection, The Purple Palace and Other Poems, my baby, is now officially released into the world. You can get it, it's linked down below. After 1 year of working on this project, over 1 year, I've been putting my blood, sweat, tears, heart, vulnerability, trust, all of that. I feel like this project is particularly special for me because you guys got to kind of watch it come together. I filmed myself, you know, at my school making like the first drafts of it, and you know, when I was illustrating it. I've just been imagining for so long creating something tangible that you guys can actually have in your hands, that you can read on the bus, that you can actually make little like notes in, and that's happening today is just like so incredible to me. So I thought that I'd throw myself a little party to celebrate the book's release today. It's just like such a big milestone for me, and I thought that while I'm like eating cake by myself and just like dancing and having the best time ever to celebrate this, that I'd also talk to you guys about the book, tell you guys what it's about, why I wrote it, and answer all the questions you guys have about it. So hopefully you get a better understanding of what you can expect from the book. And also, I'm gonna be doing a little reading for you guys. So I'm gonna go get the cake. I have an entire freaking cake to myself, and we're gonna talk about this book. So get yourself something sugary as well. Get yourself a coffee, a wine, and let's get into it. Let's celebrate. You guys have no idea how long I've been waiting to eat this. I bought this cake this morning at 9:30, and we're now deep into the night, and it's been just sitting there, and I've been waiting and waiting. I'm gonna like freaking Matilda it. Cheers to the Purple Palace and Other Poems book release. This should be illegal. I deserve this. Oh my god, I'm being so freaking rude. You deserve it too. So the book is 95 pages and 36 or 37 poems. I have to look. 37 poems and illustrations that I all did myself by hand. I tried to make it as affordable as possible with taking into consideration like printing costs and things like that. And in USD, it's $14.99. So I decided to self-publish with Kindle Direct Publishing because they offered the widest distribution. So you can buy it down in the links below. They offer 7 marketplaces: Italy, Spain, Germany, USA, Canada, Japan, France, and if you live in another country that is outside of those, I believe that you still can buy from the USA website. And I'm gonna be talking more about why I decided to go with self-publishing later on in the book. I honestly feel like the book kind of wrote itself, as cheesy as it sounds, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I started out as a creative writing major in college, creative writing and theater. And so at the beginning of college, I started writing poetry as an outlet and as a way to process the things that were going on around me. So I have, over these last like 3-4 years, amassed more than 200 poems, and I would submit them to different journals and reviews, and they would get published. And so after, you know, a little bit of time, I had enough just to complete a book, and it became something that was a really big goal of mine, because I wanted obviously to share my art and the things that I was making. So something to know about me and my writing style, like this poetry book is not going to be like roses are red, violets are blue. I love writing in a very contemporary way. I honestly think that we should write the way that we talk. So these poems are very raw, vulnerable, and if you like the kind of straightforward way that I am in my videos, like how I approach things from a very vulnerable place, that's definitely what you'll find in this. So I'll read you guys some later on so you get like a better idea of my kind of poetry style. I also over the years have incorporated some of my poetry and prose into my videos, and I have integrated some of those into the book as well. For example, my short film, Vase of Pain, that's in here. Life Inside of My Shell is in here. So it's not just like poetry, but it's also prose and text that I have for short films. Even like for some of my YouTube videos, some of the text, for example, like make that art and take up space. I also included that one in here. So the book is divided into 2 parts and takes place in between 2 time periods and 2 countries. The first part is called Is a Cloud a Living Thing? And this takes place during my early college years when I was in Florida. Like Florida is the backdrop, and it explores all of sort of like the messy parts of growing up, you know, as I like to call it, this strange roller coaster of youth, because it's so intense and so visual, and everything seems just like all the experiences when you're younger seem so magnified. But at the same time, like there are dark moments, like holding on to those things and romanticizing them and being nostalgic for everything and feeling lost in some way. And so that first part of the book is really just about like being curious about the world and coming into oneself and trying to figure out who you are. I'll read you one so you kind of get an idea. This one's called 3003. Your sister stored you like a mummy under the bed, told you to count to 1 billion, or if someone kissed you, you could come out then. You started counting. I used to come visit you when she would brush her hair in the bathroom, or if it was storming real bad. I'd smuggle in cookies and milk, the latest stories about the world outside. Sarah broke her arm. Joey finally got a bike. But most of the time we just laid there, breathing in dust, till my mom called me home for dinner. Forgetting all the frogs you picked up that summer, I held your hand. You would look down at your lap, past the floorboards, to the sea. Get distracted, lose count. You were always so bad with numbers. But you always asked me to come back. Said you thought you'd be down there till the boys, digging in the yard, made it to China. So this poem is called What You Missed at Your Funeral. Let's see who can smile the longest into the dish of potato salad, being okay and never having to prove it, so long as my clothes are ironed and knots combed out of heart and hair. We have the same shaped hole in our chest, severed by time and horizon, looking for traces of you in old friends, a joke you told, the compliment I gave. They'd apologize for mentioning your name. The punch I spiked makes me dream of the last 10 years, when love was enough to keep you vibrating higher than clustered gossip and sad balloons tied to lawn chairs. Under the shadow of hope I breathe, believing the heavenly wind will take us together. sneaking out the back, sending condolences to the others, taking with me down to the beach a bottle of bubbly, your gray eyes pulling me into the morning light. So the second part of the book is called Life Inside of My Shell, and it's called that because it was the part of my life that I really started to construct who I wanted to be. I was no longer just like kind of lost like in the first part of the book of is a cloud a living thing, and the second part is, you know, taking place in Paris, and it's all about big transitions. It's about heartbreak. It's about just that stage of your life when you start really coming into your own, but you're still sort of like a kid in many ways, you know? And yeah, so I'll read you a poem from that part of the book. This is called We Are So Full of Politeness. The truth. We are so full of politeness, we miss out on opportunities for real closeness. Ask yourself, how many moments have passed when you wish you'd ask someone something? Really gone there, to the place where there is no coming back from. And then the moment passed you by. Or worse, the person walked away. Or you told yourself you didn't care, that this moment didn't matter to you, and chickened out completely. People have told me that I have no filter, but the truth is, I just want to experience real, intense, and raw emotions with people on earth while I'm still here. I don't want to be censored for existing, having feelings, wanting to sing in public loudly. What's a friend if you can't cry in front of them? What's a lover if you can't pee with the door open? Nobody knows anything. We're just trying to get by. Have some good laughs without making too much of a mess on the way. If there is one thing I do know, putting yourself out there, scary as it seems, can only bring you closer to the truth that no teacher tells you in school. Vulnerability is the sixth sense. Vulnerability is a superpower. Okay, I totally want to read all of these to you right now because now I'm like in the mood for it, but I think that gives you an idea of sort of my style of writing, which is I feel like it's just very raw, straightforward. I hope that it can resonate with some of you guys and that you will enjoy it. So the next question that I got about the book is the story behind the cover. So I'm glad somebody asked that because I didn't want people to just think that like I was putting like just a fucking like picture of myself on the cover for no reason. So this is actually a screenshot from a short film that I made called Cry Party. It's an experimental short film, and in the film there's a part of it where a girl is stuck inside of a TV, and she says that she keeps having this dream where she's a tree, and she says that she can move her arms but her legs aren't free. We are quote unquote free, but in many, in many scenarios in our lives we aren't completely free. We're stuck, whether that's, in our career, whether that is in a relationship, whether we feel lonely. And so it's just all about like being half able to move. And I feel like it goes along with everything with COVID and stuff like that going on. And I actually included that poem in the book. It's called Cry Party Anthem. So it just made sense because this part of the film is in the book. So that's the story behind this cover. Somebody said, how did you have the courage to share your intimacy with others? Oh gosh, this is such a good question, and a lot of these poems are extremely vulnerable, and even for me reading them, I'm like, oh shit, but I made myself, I made it a point of being like, Shayna, like, you're a human and your experience is valid and people go through the same things as you. I guess I just feel like, you know what, fuck it, like, I'm gonna die one day, and the most important thing for me is to just connect with other people. And I feel like every time that I've been vulnerable in my life, I've been rewarded, and I feel like the more generous that you are about your own experience, the more it comes back to you. And I feel like in this day and age, like, let's not censor each other. Let's just talk about our real experiences and just like be as raw and upfront as possible. I feel like no matter what kind of art we make, it's never going to resonate with everybody, you know? But what I always like to say is like, maybe not everybody, you know, likes chocolate ice cream, but those who do just like fucking die for it. You know what I mean? And, you know, of course, there is always that thought of like, oh, somebody might take this the wrong way, this poem, or they might, you know, think this or that, or might judge me or think I'm weird or whatever. You know, I'm human, you know, and as humans, we all want to be connected and loved, accepted and loved. But at the end of the day, it's more important for me to try. It's more important for me to put something out there and hope that it resonates with even a small group of people, than to live in fear that, you know, the masses might not like it, you know? Like I always say, like, we're on earth for such a short period of time, and whatever gifts we have, whatever desires we have in our heart are there for a reason. And who the fuck cares? You know, like, make art, like, do your shit. Like I always say, make bad art and take up space. Do the damn thing, you know? Okay, I'm bringing a cake back out because fuck it. YOLO, baby. So somebody said, what was your favorite part of the process of making the book? And honestly, like I said, like I had already completed all of the poems. I think my favorite part was probably doing the illustrations, because that was something that I did consciously knowing that there was going to be a book made out of it, and just like kind of curating everything together and, you know, like receiving the proofs in the mail. For example, this is like one of the proofs before you can buy it, and just like seeing how everything looks together, seeing the illustrations and just like the font and, you know, the cream colored pages, and just seeing how beautiful it was. That's probably my favorite part. Oh my God. This is like my death row meal. I need to stop. Just pretend it's your birthday. It's my book's birthday. Okay, so somebody asked, what is your favorite poem in the book? So one of my favorites is called Another Lasagna. Then there's How Many Special People Change, ? But all of them, like if they are in the book, it's because I really like them and I'm proud of them. So I'm so freaking proud of this collection, you guys. And if you made it this far hearing about my little poetry book, thank you for being here and for chilling with me, watching me eat like a fucking whole cake. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the process of self-publishing, why I decided to self-publish and all that jazz. So the first question is, how did you decide to go with self-publishing instead of traditional publishing? Like I said before, I'm very much like indie style in the way, like I really like doing everything myself. It's so fascinating for me to figure out how to do every single step of the process. And I'm not against traditional publishing, but I made this book specifically for you guys, for my core audience who are fans of the Purple Palace. I knew who my audience was, and I wanted to have, like I always do, like a direct connection with you guys and not go through like some middle man to do so. And I wanted to have total and complete control. And I think like for a poetry collection, that makes sense. If it happens to have success outside of the Purple Palace family, that's great. But like this is specifically I made for this little community, you know? So on that note, somebody asked, did you collaborate with anyone on this book or did you do it all by yourself? I did the book all by myself. Obviously I wrote the poems for myself, and then I decided that I wanted to also illustrate it. And I learned how to format the book and everything in InDesign. So I did do the entire book myself. Obviously I'm not going to be taking care of the printing and things, but I honestly think that it's doable. there were certain things that were like a learning curve, but I'm really glad that I did that because it's just so cool to be able to hold something in your hand and be like, I made this entire thing myself, and it's like blood, sweat, tears, all of that. So, okay, moving on to the next question, which kind of goes along with this, which is, how did I decide what poems made the cut? So basically what I did is, I told you in the beginning, I had like over 100 poems that I'd written. And so I had all of these poems and I started breaking them down in like different folders of like, okay, these are like the best, the ones that I like the most, the one that resonate with me the most. And I realized by doing that that there was a definite sort of two parts to this book. There was the first part, which is kind of, you know, early college, really first coming into oneself and still making like really fucked up mistakes. And then there were the poems that fit into the second part of the book, which, like I said, were heartbreak, moving abroad, and just kind of navigating all of that, and being like a foreigner and starting over again and all that kind of stuff. So by doing that, I was able to see which poems fit in nicely with each section, and so I really tried to curate it and not just like put all of them in there, and really make it like a very specific selection. The next question around like the whole self-publishing process was, how long did it take from start to finish? So once you have like your whole book written, the poems that you want to have in your book, it took me about 1.5 years. It took me extra time because I decided to illustrate the book myself. And so that was the whole process, and figuring out InDesign, which is the program that I use to edit the book and everything like that. And also, I can't tell you how many proof copies I went through, at least 10. So what happens is, once you're done with your book, you can order like a proof and they'll send you the book to see if everything looks good. And I'd always find things that I want to fix, you know, whether that is an illustration that I want to move a little bit. And so you get to really, that can just like kind of add up over time, like waiting for shipping and things like that. So I'd say after the book was written, about 1.5 years for everything to be done. So some people were asking about like the money side of it, and if you have to pay to self-publish. You don't have to pay to self-publish. I mean, you do have to pay if you ask somebody to design your cover, all those things I did myself. However, you know, the platform that you publish through is going to take the royalties. They're going to take a cut out of every sale that you make, and they also charge you obviously for printing fees. So for example, if I sell my book for $14.99, I'm going to touch $6 for each book that I sell, after you know, printing costs are deducted and the royalties, because they're printing the book, they're taking care of the shipments and everything like that. So having said that, you might be thinking to yourself, holy fuck, that's a huge cut. But that's pretty standard for publishing. It's like, you know, the cost to print the book, and they're taking care of all of the shipping. Obviously, if I decided that I wanted to do that myself, you know, I'd be able to keep a bigger cut of the book, but I can't possibly imagine myself like receiving all the books and sending them out. That would just be like a huge time. It would just be a huge time commitment. So I'd rather just let them take care of that, and then I get to do the creative side of that. So yeah, that's kind of how I decided how to price my book, because since I did, you know, do the illustrations myself, I put a huge amount of time that I put into it. For me, I needed to make like at least like $6 per book for it to be profitable for me, and then also just to be affordable for you guys. Like, I didn't want to price it over like $13, $14. So that's kind of how I figured that out. And then the last question that I have is it scary to invest time and money into some big project, not knowing how people will respond? Is it scary? Is it scary? I mean, like I said before, putting yourself out there, no matter what you do in life, no matter what kind of art you create, it can always be a bit scary, but I promise you, no matter what you want to do, no matter what your dream is, the rewards are so much greater than the risk. I honestly do have faith that like the desires in our heart are there for a reason. So if I wanted to make this, it's because, you know, I'm meant to. So I don't know, I try to not make fear-based decisions. I try to, in my life, make decisions from a place of love and feeling like I want to do something because it makes me happy. And I feel like when we come from a place of love and trust, then we are saying that we believe that we're going to be taken care of, and then we are. If we come from a place of fear, in that negative area of not doing something because of this, or worrying, first of all, worrying never helps any situation. And second of all, like, life's short, baby. Make the art, make the bad art, and take up space and do the damn thing. Okay, on that note, thank you guys so much for being a part of my book release party. Like I said, if you want to get yourself a copy, you can check out the links down below. And if you do decide to get one, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear back from you how you liked it and just like your feedback. I've honestly, like I said, never been prouder of anything in my whole life, just because of the time that's gone into it, and just like the craftsmanship. So I really hope that it will resonate with you guys as much as it has me, and that you feel as connected to this as my videos. So I'm so grateful to have you guys and to be able to share these big moments in my life, and to grow with you. It's just so crazy to me when I read the comments, and you know, some of you guys have been watching me for 2 or 3 years, and I feel like as we create projects and dreams, it's like we're getting to experience life together. So thank you for experiencing life with me, and I love you. Let's dance in honor of the Purple Palace and other poems, and just following our freaking dreams, baby. So, okay, let's do it.